7 down, 1 more to go. Preseason is almost in the books. Few Oilers vying for spots on the roster. In action tonight in Seattle. Jason Strudwick is standing by. We're going to break down the Oilers' loss tonight to the Kraken. Hey, they traded for a goaltender today. Not sure if you heard or not. A little Connor Ingram discussion is ahead on the show as well tonight. And Stan Bowman did a media availability, asked him about a wide range of topics, and we'll dip into some of what the general manager had to say. So nice, action-packed, full show for you tonight. And glad that you could be along for the ride. This is Got Your Back, presented by our title sponsor, Timber House Developments, the leader in custom and infill developments with the knowledge and experience to bring your dream to life. If you are tired of cookie-cutter, copy-and-paste designs that don't have soul, well, see the team at Timber House and discover how naturally inspired living can make your life better. Take all the guesswork out of your infill project and work with the experienced leaders. Visit timberhouse.ca. I'm in the Timber House studio. They're on their way tomorrow morning. Going to be redoing the background, redoing the wall, the shelves. Looking forward to freshening up the old Timber House studio, giving it a little biophilic action. Check in tonight with Jason Strudwick and Chris Sabunya. Okay, gents, we're up and rolling, Struds, right after the game because it's preseason and, let's just get these going, man. We're not waiting around for postgame tonight. Diving right in. Late start. Nothing worse than an 8 p.m. preseason start.
Yeah, that's nice. And I believe there's one Friday as well, is there not?
Yes, there is, sir.
So they're able to get both of our pretzels when they kick them. First Wednesday, then Friday.
At least there'll be some players. I mean, no disrespect to the guys that played.
Yeah.
But the last one is, I won't say it's better, but it's at least a little more interesting, Zuby, because you kind of generally see line combinations that you can expect to see at the start of the regular season. So some things are maybe revealed in that last game.
Is that how it works? Because I feel like I've watched hockey for so long, and I feel like the NFL now it's a little out of sorts now because they only have 3 preseason games. But when the NFL had 4 preseason games, it had such a set rhythm to who played what game and how much, and you just knew exactly what to expect. And I don't feel that way with the NHL. So I don't even know. Is that last game the dress rehearsal? Do they put those guys out there for that game?
Yeah, I mean, usually you do. Usually it has. And if there's a guy banged up or nicked up, you don't. But generally speaking, it's kind of your best foot forward. Do
the Calgary Flames have another one? Because if that was their dress rehearsal, and we'll get to that tonight in our Bridge scoreboard. Our scoreboard brought to you by Bridge. But man, was that ever a stomping and exhibition play, and pretty good number of veterans the Flames even had in there for that one, Struds. That's not going to feel great at the tail end of exhibition season. 8-1.
But I guess if you're going to get a spanking, get it at the end of exhibition, and it kind of gets your attention, and it gets you going again. I mean, that team, they show up. That's the way they're coached. That's how they play. It's because can they score? It's not screw up. Can they show up enough and score enough goals for that group?
So we're going to break down the game.
They host the Jets on Friday, so they got one more.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, Flames play the Jets on Friday. Thanks for that. So we are going to talk about the Connor Ingram trade. We're going to talk about Stan Bowman's media availability, some of what he had to say, a couple of updates there that if you didn't hear the avail might be of interest to you. But there was a game tonight, and there are some guys fighting for spots, so that's where we will start our breakdown tonight. As we get to it, brought to you by the Canadian Brew House. During every Oiler game day at the Canadian Brew House, enter at any Edmonton area location for your chance to win Oiler home game tickets. Plus, enjoy $1 off Molson Canadian and Coors Light tankards. Edmonton-born, Canadian-operated. They got 48 locations across Canada, and always such a fantastic place to go and watch whatever sport you're into. The NHL, NFL, Major League Baseball, playoff action. Canadian Brew House is your home for all of it. Okay, Struddy. So a few battles for spots, and I mean, some guys weren't able to play tonight. A bit of a flu bug ripping through the team, so Tomashek and such weren't available. Philp, but we did see a fair helping tonight of Howard and Savoy. So we've been talking a lot about them through exhibition season. Maybe just start there and tell me what you saw from them tonight, maybe how that compares to where they were when the exhibition season first began.
Ike Howard, to me, looked like a confident player tonight. That was willing to carry the puck and attack. The challenge for him is understanding when to try to make an attack. And a couple times tonight, I saw him trying to beat a D-man one-on-one at the blue line. And, if you're Connor Leon, okay, no problem. If you're Ike Howard, that can't happen, especially when it turns over the other way. And, but we've seen this, every young player that's come in through the league that's skilled, they do it. I think back to Taylor Hall and Jordan Eberle, who's now the captain of Seattle. So I thought Ike Howard, he looked confident, but those are lessons you have to learn. The D-men are too good. It's pretty rare you beat a D-man one-on-one in this league.
Okay, and your thoughts on, by the way, Howard ended up playing, so I just had the summary. Howard's line was 16 and a half minutes, couple of assists. He was +1, didn't end up with any shots on net, and got a fair amount. How many minutes on the power play? He ended up getting 4.5. Like, special teams are all over the map tonight. So many opportunities and so many penalties called. We'll get to that in a minute, Struds. What did you see from Savoy, who ended up on the tail end of a nice tic-tac-toe play that Howard started?
Yeah, really nice play there by Howard to get it going. And then heads-up play by Adam Henrique. And then it was a kind of a same-side tip, which aren't easy. And that's a skilled play, a really skilled tip by Matt Savoy. And he's going to have to score goals like that, getting in front of the net, going to the net, driving, especially if you're playing with a Leon, and Adam Henrique, Nuge, obviously Connor McDavid. So I like that. Used his speed well today. I thought he was good. It's another, I think he made another case for himself to be on the team, although I'm thinking he will be on the team to start either way, Shaggy.
Yeah, one of the best moments from him tonight for me was I pay attention to when these guys that are hoping to make the team get into battles against legit NHL players. And did you see when he was kind of on the forecheck and he was trying to dig a puck out against Alexiak?
Yeah.
And ended up on the right side of that battle, Struds, and ended up being just like just some sort of little like chirpy dog, just, nipping at his heels, but he came away with the puck. And he had a couple of really nice looks tonight on retrievals and steals. And that was a moment for me where I was like, okay, and I know it's exhibition and those guys aren't necessarily trying their absolute hardest, but when you're in a size mismatch like that, the other guy that used to go and win a lot of those size mismatch battles was Kyler Yamamoto. And that was a quality that he often displayed. And Savoy has shown that a little bit here and there too.
He sure has. And he's got to, right? He's got to be a puck retriever. Leon's on record loving what Paul Colson does as far as getting the puck back. And so listen to the skilled players. What do they talk about? Puck retrieval, making plays, being something they can work with and play off of. And Savoy can do those last things, but the puck retrieval, his size, will be a challenge. So he's going to have to use his quickness and his smarts to strip pucks off of bigger men around the NHL.
Yeah, for sure. Szymanski, this is a player that has good size and moves pretty good. And we weren't really sure what to expect coming into camp, Struds. What have you seen? What do you think?
I remember when he signed, I think it was during the playoff run, and, a German guy with what I feel is like a North American name. And he'd done a lot of points. And it's interesting. Today, there was a video they were showing in between periods about him mic'd up, and he's actually pretty funny. He talked about, he was asked if he got into a fight. Yeah, he was on the bench. I think it was Quinn Hudson. Have you been in a fight? He's like, yeah, I got really beat up. Like, he's a pretty funny guy. And you know what? I'm not going to lie. I don't watch a ton of the kids that are maybe further down what I would call the ladder. I'm focused on others or maybe players on other teams, that are up and coming. But Szymanski, every game he's played, my eyes been drawn to him. And that's a good sign. And I'm not making decisions on the team, but when, I feel I have a decent eye for some players, I'm like, what is this guy doing? Who is he? How is he scoring? He had a couple goals that one game. And tonight he's around the puck, right? He's making plays with it. Seems confident. I look forward to what he can look like, maybe after a year in the minors, but there might be something there. 23 years old. He's not that old, but he is big. He skates well. He's scored in the past, and he seems to have a great personality. So now my eye will be on him, watching, getting updates when we talk about the AHL. What does he look like?
6 foot. Well, he's 6'3" here on Hockey Prospects.
It seems a little optimistic because I was looking him up too. I don't know that I feel like he's like 6'2". right? And I think one I looked at said he was 6'4", and I'm okay. I think
I
that's
thought in the Oiler, one of the releases it said 6'5", but anyway,
it feels a
everybody,
little it feels a little generous from what I see on
yeah,
the ice, but maybe he skates but he's a big guy that can skate pretty well and has some finish. Like, let's see what he can do, right? Let's see what a year looks like after he's done a year in the AHL.
for sure. Let's talk a little bit about Alec Regula.
Yeah,
Didn't
I
play
thought this
last
is
season. Spent
yeah
the year rehabbing, Struds, and he's just getting into game action again here and getting up to speed. And go ahead.
best game of camp for him. But we shouldn't be surprised. The more he plays, the more he's going to get going. Tonight he was partnered with Darnell Nurse, and it's odd. They Regula's not as good a skater as Darnell, but he gets around the ice pretty well. He's a bit of a mirror of Darnell, right? He's tall, long arms, long stick. And what I really liked is the plays he made with the puck on his stick. Very, very calm. And he was looking to make plays with the puck on his stick. That first touch, he wasn't just throwing it away, throwing it up the glass like you see some youngish or inexperienced NHL defensemen do. So again, that's another guy. Like, your eye is drawn towards him. Like, who is this guy? How is he making these plays? So, I don't know where this all shakes out with him starting the season or not. But just to repeat what I said, last pod, he's got to play a lot of games. But I would want to see more if I was Knobloch, and maybe does he get to start on Friday night or start a game on Friday night?
Yeah, so interesting that he was paired here with Darnell Nurse. I thought it was interesting for him to get a look in that spot. He's a big guy, Struds, but sometimes big guys look like they're just scrambling to get from one point to another out there, and they look tired and kind of showing up a little bit late. And no offense to you, big guy, I'm not necessarily talking about you in your heyday, but you know how sometimes those big guys, I don't know, it just looks like a real effort, but he gets around out there pretty well for a guy his size, and he gets there on time, and it's not, I guess I'm thinking a little bit, and Vinny Darnay was a lot taller and bigger or whatever, but it looked like everything was just a scramble to get to where you're supposed to be. But this guy is smooth, and he's there, and he's calm, and he doesn't panic with the puck on his stick. Stan Bowman saw something in this player multiple times. So I'm here to tell you, the Oilers do not want to lose this player on waivers after spending the whole year last year rehabbing him and helping him get through that injury. The way he's played in the exhibition season here, I do not think the Oilers are exposing this player to waivers. This guy is going to be on the team to start the season, and they're going to give him a look here at the start of the season to see how it goes and how to get him into some games. I think we could be heading in a direction here, Struds, where Stetcher could end up being a guy that is on the outside looking in and maybe is the one that has to clear.
Well, that would be interesting for him and disappointing, right? He's done everything right, but they're looking to upgrade. Teams are always looking to upgrade in every position. What I find interesting, though, Shaggy, is that what is right for the organization might be wrong for Regula in this situation. Like, I get they don't want to lose him. I 100% agree, and I wouldn't want to lose him either. But we all agree he has to play games. So if he plays every third game for the next 60 days, that's probably not the best thing for him to get back up and running. So I think that, yeah, they keep him here, but maybe they keep him on the roster, but they send him down for a conditioning stint to play, 5 games in 14 days or something like that. Call him back up, play him a bit, then send him down again for 5 games in 14 days or so, although there aren't a lot of games usually in the AHL in October, but I want him to play more and just get going because he hasn't played a lot.
Yeah, what are the? I'll look into this, but what are the rules around these conditioning stints, Struds? Like, you can't. How do you just send a guy on a conditioning stint unless he's coming off of an injury? It seems like a way of circumventing waivers.
Well, I think it can be a max of 2 weeks. I think you can do it maybe just twice a year, and the player has to agree to it. So, if I'm Regula and the Oilers are like, listen, we really like what you're doing. We like seeing you on the ice, but we want you to get game action because you haven't played. Would you consider going down for two weeks? After what they've done for me and paid me to not play for some time, I would think I would be open to that. Yep, I'm going to go down. I'm going to do that. You're going to play 20 minutes a night down there. Then we're going to come back up and we'll see where you're at then. And again, it's not a punishment. It's not because we don't like you. It's because we are trying to do what's best for you in this situation.
1923 on ice tonight, couple of shots on net, and was all over it. He was all over the place, played a lot, and just you noticed him every time he was out there. Struds, I want to talk about special teams. The refs are getting themselves into regular season form as well. They were all making sure the whistles were working tonight. Holy snap, just a pile of penalties early on in that game. So both the power play and the penalty kill get a workout. But did you see some concerning things on that penalty kill? Because they're trying to implement this new system, and I know it's not all their main penalty killers and such, but still, like where are you at with what you're seeing out there?
So through the neutral zone, I don't mind it. It's a 1-3. If you're not familiar with that, you put one forward up and they put three people back behind them. And your goal is to try to direct like a wedge them to one side or the other, then you hold the line. A lot of teams do it. This isn't reinventing the wheel. In the zone, they're being a lot more cautious. They're not, they did the push down last year, which I love. We skate up and make sure the D-man doesn't get to the middle, and you push them down the wall, and the D-man confronts them and you try to create a fight along the wall. They're being way more conservative. And the first goal, it goes up, and then Mangiapane and Henrique, they're not sure who's going to go where. So Mangiapane follows the puck over. Then it's passed over to Mahura, and Henrique is way back, and he doesn't move out. He doesn't stay. He's kind of just standing there, and the puck just flies by him and into the net. So they look to me like they're a group that's transitioning from penalty kill A to now penalty kill B, and they're halfway on that journey. And when you're halfway there, you're nowhere. And that's what their PK looks like right now. But your point's well made, but they don't have a lot of normal penalty killers in there. So I'd like to really take a look at it Friday. But man, they look like they're really neither here nor there, which is a dangerous place to be in NHL penalty killing.
I've never liked kills that collapse and allow the D-men up top with time and space. And when you're asking forwards to front shots from 25 feet, and that's where a situation. What's that?
No, it's so hard because you're so far away. You're not confronting. What you're doing is screening your own goalie because your angle comes down, right? It has to be, the odds of it hitting you are shrink massively when you're not right up on the guy. You're 100% right. And it is rough right now.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see on opening night, or even maybe we'll see a little bit more of it on Friday night. That's another reason why they often dress their full rosters, is for special teams, to give them a look all together. And a lot of times it's all of the units together for the first time to see how that looks and feels. It'll be interesting to see how they approach pressuring the blue line with their regular penalty kill here. And if fundamentally what we're going to see is them more concerned about protecting the middle of the ice and giving those guys up top some time and space and potentially being able to blast away a little bit. I certainly don't like that penalty kill style if you have McDavid and Draisaitl anywhere near your penalty kill. You want those guys playing tight to the D-men to avoid having to block shots. But this idea that, you're kind of back 15 or 18 feet or whatever, Struds, it's just, I don't know. I've never liked the look and feel of that.
And now you're D-man in front. And I know, I'm always advocating for him. It is a gong show in there because it is much more difficult for the forwards to block shots and or to make that D-man change his shot, right? He can now, generally speaking, it's easier to get it to the net. And so for the D-man in front now, you're trying to battle the guy in front. You're trying to get their stick out of the way. And then when the puck comes by and hits someone, you're trying to box them out and get that rebound way more often because shots are not being altered and or blocked at the blue line.
4 shots on net for Andrew Mangiapane tonight. He was -1 in the game. I said the other night, time to get something going a little bit. You can't just sleepwalk through all of preseason. So kind of suggested maybe he needed to find some sort of a level. What did you see out of him tonight, Struds?
I think there was more jump. There was more step to his game. A couple times he really got up there on the forecheck on the penalty kill. He did slip and fall, but I think, I do think he's working towards that game that we want to see that's better. Was it miles better? But I think it was a step in the right direction this game.
All right, fair enough. Anything on the power play before we move on? We're going to push past this game. We got some other stuff to talk about here.
Yeah, the power play, I mean, the zone entries were tough. Even getting out of their zone was tough, but 97 just takes the puck and goes. So, I mean, it's kind of hard. It's like telling an 18-year-old me that you're going to go bald when you're 50. He doesn't care. He's having a good life at 18. I'm suffering at 50 now. It doesn't really matter, right? It's inconsequential.
Yes, good point. And we will push right past that. Okay, we're going to get to Connor Ingram. I think what we're going to do is we'll get Relentless Player and our YouTube poll done, and then we will take a quick break. When we come back after that, we'll dive into the goaltending situation and Stan Bowman's media availability. So, Struds, let's get to our You Can Use Services Relentless Player of the Night. It's an Edmonton charity relentless in creating possibility for local youth. Mental health drives growth and success. The key to thriving, not just surviving. They have 2 in-house counselors offering free therapy for their youth. They have the support they need to navigate struggles and rediscover their strength. It's a great organization. youcan.ca is the website to go and donate to today. Struds, who gets the nod tonight?
I'm going to go with Trent Frederick. I thought he was really skating well tonight. He was moving his feet, attacking, and listen, going from wing to center isn't easy, especially when it changes who you're playing with. I think he wasn't he with Henrique and Savoy tonight? Or
Savoy,
Mangiapane?
yeah. Although it got moved around a little bit. Savoy and Howard ended up together a little bit, so they bumped it around a bit.
Yeah, and that's kind of I think I mentioned the other day, I wanted to see Mangiapane, Trent Frederick, and Savoy together. I think we saw a bit of that. But, Trent Frederick, I liked the way he was skating tonight, and he was getting up on the puck. And again, another veteran, but he wasn't, I didn't think anyone shone as a relentless player, but I liked what I saw as a step for him as well.
70% for Adam Henrique in the face-off circle tonight. Some honorable mention there, and picked up a couple of assists as well. So a couple of veterans in the lineup tonight that were definitely on the plus side of things in a 4-2 loss by the Oilers. Zuby, do we have a poll ready to go now, or you want to do it next segment, pal?
Well, it's on Connor Ingram, so we can do it now if you want to set it up.
Yeah, okay, let's get to that. So let's get to our YouTube, our De Boer's Golf Shop and Fitting Center YouTube poll. Extend your golf season this fall. Layer up with fall golf essentials. Buy one piece, get the second piece at 50% off. Yeah, they got a little deal going on over at De Boer's. All Adidas footwear, 50% off. 5311 at 99th Street. Again, buy one piece, get the second piece at 50% off, and all Adidas footwear is at 50% off. Zuby, what do you got for a poll?
Yeah, just kind of taking the temperature of the stream and some social media here today, and what fans in Oiler Nation are kind of expecting Connor Ingram's role to be. So the question tonight is, what impact do you expect Connor Ingram to have on this team? The choices are none other than depth. The second choice is that his AHL play could pressure Skinner and Pickard. The third choice is he's an injury call-up only. And the fourth choice is he'll earn games with the big club.
All right.
And early results are all over. So there's across the board is we're getting some action here. So it's good.
Sounds good. We'll wrap up that poll if we remember in our Ask Us Anything segment. By the way, send in your 60% comments.
60% chance.
60% chance we'll actually pull some value out of this poll that you've created here, Zuby. Send in your questions for Struds and I or Zuby. You can ask Zuby questions on Ask Us Anything as well. I mean, it's exhibition. Why don't we do that? Why don't we work in what questions do you have for Zuby tonight for Ask Us Anything? Throw a few of those in there, Zuby. Don't be shy to add those in as you're making your list. That coming up a little bit later on. Quick break. When we come back, let's talk Connor Ingram. Let's talk Stan Bowman media availability. Let's dig in. This has Got Your Back presented by Timber Haas Developments. We'll be right back. Repair and replacement using advanced trenchless methods for fast, clean results. They provide detailed sewer assessments and scoping to identify problems before they become costly. Serving both residential and commercial properties, no job is too big or too small, and with over 40 years of experience, they've seen it all. Trust Mainline to keep your lines flowing smoothly. Time now for takeaways, brought to you by HSE Core Services. Need a safety program? They can build it. Need it managed? Yup, they got you covered. Stuck dealing with those online safety registries your clients make you sign up for? They got your back on those too. And yes, they also do core audits. If you own a business, you know these things that I'm talking about. They can help make your life easier. Visit www.hsecor.com. That's hsecor.com for more information. A lot of people today were like, why would they trade for him? They could have had him for nothing on waivers. Yeah, that tactically would not have made any sense. The Oilers, I think Strud's made a good deal here. They bring in a guy and they get Utah to retain just enough salary that he's not going to count on their cap. They bring him into the organization. He's got experience in the NHL. He's pushed for starting jobs and carried it at times. This is a pretty good goaltender, albeit a guy that hasn't played a whole lot recently that the organization is adding to their goaltending depth chart. I think it was pretty smart and made sense. How about you?
I loved it. I heard the news actually. I was just happened to be down at Sports 1440 doing some voiceovers, and Carrie just said, "Hey, the Oilers just traded for Connor Ingram." I'm like, guess what? I'm guessing for future considerations. Like, yeah, you're right, actually. And then I heard the money. Like, it all makes sense. So basically, Utah wanted to unload this player. They searched around the league and found a team that wanted it, and then they figured out a number. So it was a really smart move by Stan Bowman to do it. This is the most low-risk, high-reward move that the Oilers will probably make this year. There's no risk here. What's the worst thing can happen? It's just money out of Daryl Cates' pocket if he doesn't come up and play at all. But if he can, find pieces, maybe not the wrong word, but find some consistency with his off ice, so he feels good about himself, and it sounds like he's gotten the help that's required, and then he can add that to a decent game. He's a pretty good player. I talked to the guys in Utah, or someone in Utah, and he said, yeah, he can be a really good goalie, or a good goalie. And he comes in here, and who knows what happens. So I don't think you even think about it if you're an Oilers fan. You just hope he finds his game, and you want him to push if there's an injury or anything for him to come up and play. That would be the best outcome. That you're like, man, we got to find this guy some games.
To the Weiss Johnson soundbox, Stan Bowman.
We want to get him back going when he's at his best. That's how I like to measure players, is when he's playing well and he's on top of his game, we know he can be a really good goaltender. So we got to help him get back to that point. I know he's excited for a fresh start. So he's going to be in Bakersfield, and then we'll just kind of take it from there. There's no set program for when he could be there for the whole season. We don't know. So the plan is not to just get him up to speed and then bring him to Edmonton. We want to have it as a good depth opportunity for us, and the play of our goalies and the play of our team, as well as his play, will dictate where it goes.
Neil Garrity said, I can't believe they gave up their future considerations for a goalie. How can they consider things in the future now? Very good, Neil. Basically, the trade ends up being for nothing. Taking a look at Ingram's history here, 22 games played last year, 3.27 goals against average, 882 save percentage. It was a tough go, and it was a tough year. Ended up back in the assistance program, lost his mother, I believe, quite sadly, and has had to put in some time getting himself squared away and getting himself ready to go. It appears he is now ready to resume his playing career, Struds. You look back at the high water marks, though. I mean, he played 50 games for the Arizona Coyotes the year before that with a 907 save percentage. The year before, another 907 save percentage. Sub-3 goals against average in 23-24 as well. This guy understands what it's like to play a pretty good number of games in a season. He's done it once. What do you think is realistic? And basically echoing what's on the poll there from Zuby. But like best case scenario, what happens here, Struds?
I think he'll get some games. I do. I think maybe an injury, he gets to come up and show what he can do. I think it's hard because there's so many variables in this. The play of Stuart Skinner, the play of Calvin Pickard, the health of those two people. The ability of Connor Ingram to get on track off the ice and on the ice. Those are two wild cards. And I hope that the most important one of all is that he gets on track off ice. That'd be my number one hope for him. But can he get on ice? Can he get that focused? And then just, all those things have to time out. If Pickard and Skinner play well, we will not see Connor Ingram. If there's a dip, there's an injury, we will see him. And if he's playing well, he could push for time. That's they're going to go with the best option. Right? There's no feelings, no emotions here in this when it comes to what this team needs. So there's so many possibilities. I have a hard time, nailing it down. But Shaugger, I would suggest that he will see some games in the NHL this year.
Well, hard to think that they'll go wire to wire without somebody getting nicked up in net. I mean, chances are that that's going to happen at a certain point. I would think. But I mean, at the end of the day, if Connor Ingram spends the entire season in the American Hockey League and that team makes the playoffs, they go on a little bit of a run and he has a good, solid AHL year and the need isn't there for him at the NHL level, I mean, good on him, good for the organization. I think there's that segment of fan out there who's probably harder on Skinner fundamentally and a little bit more hardline feeling like the Oilers need to make a move in net that is sitting there somewhere in the recesses of their brain thinking, oh, he's going to get in and he's going to play good and he's going to push. And by January or February, he's going to be making a case for being the guy. I know that exists inside some Oiler fans' heads. And hey, I mean, crazier things have happened, Struds, but that doesn't feel like the likely path. I think Skinner would really have to falter for it to go that way and for the Oilers to consider that.
Yeah, there is going to have to be a big issue, but there is someone there. And if you look at what Stan Bowman's trying to do, he's trying to acquire talent into his organization with zero cost. Regula and Ingram are two really prime examples of that. Tomaszek, or Tomaszek, I should say, is another example. Szymanski. So he's looking for. I think you got to applaud him. That's what you need to do. They don't have a lot of draft picks, so you got to find guys and come in and for nothing, and bring them in, hope that they play. And this year, I doubt we'll see Szymanski play. I don't think that that's going to happen. Connor Ingram, I think you might see games. I think Regula, you probably see him in games, right? Tomaszek, I think he's staying here. So not bad. 3 out of 4 isn't bad. And then Szymanski, let's give it some time.
This is what you do when your team has been contending for the last 4 years and you've had to trade away some of your best assets at the deadline every year to try and give your superstar players a crack at winning the cup that they so deserve the crack to try and win when you've got superstar players of that caliber. But not just that, Struds, when your team is drafted terribly. Quite frankly, for a long time, the cupboards were pretty empty based on Ken Holland and his regime and their drafting history. So you got the combination of constantly making trades and not developing and drafting at a high level. And Stan Bowman had to have the kind of summer here. And we'll see how these guys pan out. But this is the way they're going to have to be operating.
Yeah, they will. And then, when you put all that and then compound it with your 2 best draft picks are in St. Louis, that's a real stinger at this point. So that's true. I mean, it's just a fact. So, and then the people you replace them with, well, one is gone, in Skinner. So, yeah, there needs to be some redemption here in both the drafting and then, free agent signing.
David W. says, Skinner and Pickard have been streaky, but the Oilers have made consecutive cup final appearances. Connor Vesnabuck has choked so often in postseason play, while the Leafs' Joel Wall didn't have a great, and then he was cut off at that point. But the point he's making is back-to-back Stanley Cup finals, and yeah, maybe the experience there. I'm okay with them riding with Ingram in the minors. Skinner's going to get another look here, Pickard. Interesting from Stan Bowman, Struds, there haven't been any discussions with Stuart Skinner about an extension. I mean, normally in a Canadian market, a starting goaltender that has gone to back-to-back cup finals, rolling into the final year of his deal without even contract talks happening, that would be your story heading in. Doesn't even make a ding because of this McDavid situation, but what do you make of that? Just kind of, I don't know, the McDavid contract thing is probably jamming up the works to a degree, but I think this is also about a bit of a moment here with Skinner in the organization that, like, they want to make sure before they lock this guy in as their starting netminder, making starting netminder money. Like, they're waiting to see something here.
You don't think they know by now? You don't think you know the player?
Where's the contract talk then? Where's the contract talks then?
I would guess that if I was Stu Skinner, I'd be waiting and I'm thinking that I'm going to have a really good year this year, and then the money will be there, will be right where I want it to be. If I were to rank the players that require a contract that I'm looking at, it's obviously Connor, and then the 3 D-men to me are really important: Ekholm, Bowman, and of course Kulak. Whether you're going to sign him or not, it's a big decision. That's a really big, because those, especially the last two, or the two older guys, they've been a huge part of this team. So you have to decide. And then I'd put Skinner after that, because I'm gonna wait and see. Because if I'm Skinner, I'm like, I'm gonna have a good year here. If he gets up to a 9-10 and plays steady all year, I mean, that changes the conversation around his contract.
I mean, what do you think the number is to do a deal tomorrow with Stu Skinner? And what do you think the number would be if the Oilers went on another decent run and made another Stanley Cup and, heaven forbid, win it this year? I say that jokingly. What do you think that number looks like? You know what I mean? Like, what's the difference now?
2.2, 2.3, whatever it is, 2.4, something like that, isn't he? I think he's in there.
More than that. Yeah, I'll get it. Anyways, make your point.
2.75 maybe. It's. I look at the contract.
We're not even talking about it yet. 2.6. You had it.
2.6. Yeah, and we aren't. So, do you put him up at the 8-9 million? That massive amount that some of those guys have gotten. Is he
buddy in Boston there? Yeah.
Is he closer to what Stolar's got? Even though he has a much better resume than Stolar's presents, but Stolar's has played way more games than Stolar's. Somewhere I have a really hard time pegging this contract for term and hit number. I think he probably he deserves more than he's at right now. But do the Oilers feel comfortable hammering out an 8x9 or whatever deal?
No, I don't think it'll. I don't think it'll get there, Struds. I mean, unless he wins a Stanley Cup and wins the Conn Smythe or something like that. Right. Like if Skinner has an unreal year this year, then guys have made more money for smaller bodies of work. Yeah. But I guess that's sort of my point. It's like you got to place bets sometimes, and the Oilers in this moment aren't willing to necessarily place that bet and send that message to everybody. Hey, Connor, here's your starting goalie for the next however many years they signed for. I think they are needing to see something here, and those negotiations have not yet started. And I mean, maybe both sides are fine with it. I don't know. Not in their heads.
I do believe if I was Skinner, I'd be waiting. There's no rush, right? Like Vasily Podkolzin, I might have waited as well if I was him, because I'm going to think I'm going to score 12 to 15 goals this year. But it feels like the contract was pretty fair on both sides. But with Skinner, I think that he can wait this out. Yeah.
He has the ability. Like if he plays really, really solid this year, and with how good this Oiler blue line potentially is going to be this year, he might be able to put up some pretty good numbers this year if he does take a step forward. And remember, he is still a developing goalie. So that contract situation will be an interesting one. The strategy here by the Oilers, and I know McDavid is jamming things up a little bit. No update on the Connor McDavid situation from Stan Bowman today. Let's get back to the Weiss Johnson sound box. Brought to you by Weiss Johnson Heating and Air Conditioning. Their end-of-season AC sale is now on until the end of October. Get up to 20% off any in-stock air conditioners. Visit WJJingle.com for exclusive specials just for Got Your Back Jingle lovers. That is WJJingle.com.
Weiss Johnson, whoa. We're proud to be local and family owned.
WJJingle.com. Go log on, see what they have to offer. Okay, Stan Bowman. I asked him today about the youth on this team and this dynamic of trying to be patient and let guys develop and make mistakes and living with those mistakes versus maybe they need to go to the American Hockey League and they're better off developing there, right? They're kind of going to try and thread that needle and juggle that around a little bit here. Here is Bowman on the organizational philosophy on how to handle these guys.
We'll kind of take it as it goes. We're trying not to script it out, like how it's going to work. Part of it's going to be how our team's performing. Part of it's going to be how they're doing individually. want to build their confidence up, and also they have to find their role on the team, and it might be different than the role that they've played elsewhere, and that's all part of young players assimilating. Is, you know, they might not get the opportunities they did in years past, which is okay, if they can learn to contribute in different ways, and that's part of their evolution to being an NHL player, and it's going to happen. It's just a matter of how quickly and how smoothly it happens. That's a process our coaches are going to work with.
What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything really new there. You know, I think that it is an unknown, right? How these guys are going to move on and proceed. Didn't really talk about the ice time or games. I think that's really important. I don't think a young player sitting around is the best way to develop him or them. So I think that, you know, it feels, as we get closer to this, it's going to be Howard in the minors and Savoy on the team. I think that's how I'd play it, and then Ike Howard can come up at some point, but that's how I see it right now in front of me as I see it today, Shauggy.
So there's something kind of brewing here that I don't like, that I think they need to just put a stop to right away here. So you've got these young players that are going to require patience, and it looks like they're both going to start here. And if you think back to Broberg and Holloway when they were here, and it was like they were with the team, but they weren't being played. They were being dragged around in the press box, you know, not getting a lot of opportunity. Holloway got more than Broberg, I would say. But bottom line, there wasn't a clear development plan set out for these players. There seemed to be a misfire between the general manager and the head coach about, are we playing these guys or not? Or what's the plan, right? And we all know the way that worked out. Well, you got these young guys that are here needing ice time, needing patience. The message to your head coach might have to be, as a manager, look, you're going to have to ride with the mistakes. You got to play these kids. Head coach is like, great, I have no contract. I'm in the last year of my deal. Results matter. Big time. Right? There's no security on the table here for Knobloch. So you got a coach that needs to win games. He's got no deal. He's not sitting there with 3 years in the bank and going, okay, if we're off to a slow start, 15 games in, right? So I asked Bowman about that dynamic. A head coach that isn't signed, that needs results, and asking him to be patient with young players and how that works.
I guess we are working on Chris's deal. I mean, we're not at the end of it yet, but I'm confident we're going to get there. And we're very aligned on that. Chris and I we see things very similarly, and I don't think it's as hard as people make it out to be. I really don't. I think, you know, young players have some progression they have to go through, and, you know, it'll become apparent. If it's obvious that they just can't get it done, then it'll be obvious to everyone. It's not like I'm going to see things much differently than he's going to see things. So
Chris Knobloch on the kids.
You're looking at what the most important thing is how your team's playing at the end of the season, and you hope that some of these young guys can improve and become significant contributors down the road. And, you know, the only way they're going to be able to do that is you give them a little leeway. Of course, there's accountability, and it's just not giving them ice time. But, you know, I don't think there's any really charity. Like, they've got to be able to be NHL players to be here. But for them to grow, which we want them to grow, we want them to be significant players, they got to be able to make some mistakes.
They got to get this coach signed, Struds, before the regular season. Just get it done.
I thought this would be the easiest contract negotiation of the whole summer. And here we are at the end. I don't know what the holdup is or what kind of conversation they would be having. Getting back to the young players, it's a really fine line. I've been in those rooms with these highly skilled young players. They start the season, and then, you know, you're trying to help them understand, you know, as I talked about with Howard today, you know, where you can try to be a little offensive and where you kind of you can wave your magic wand. But if they keep turning those pucks over the blue line and there's no change in their behavior, that's where it becomes a problem. And that's maybe where the minors call, so they can go down and they can change that behavior. because you can't turn the puck over and at the blue lines, right? That's two areas you just can't. Your blue line and their blue line. And I played with players that it was really hard for them to get to that lesson. And you're like looking around, okay, is anyone going to say anything here? Or are we just going to sit back and let this happen? So I think for Knobloch, it's a fine line to continue to give out minutes, but if they're not changing their behavior to NHL players, NHL level decision making you need, that's probably when it's like, okay, you're going to go to the minors, and when you get that, you will return.
You know, he makes the point that it'll be pretty obvious. It's not like he and Chris are going to disagree, right? I mean, it's obvious until it's not. I mean, one guy's perception of what fair opportunity was might be different than another guy's. Your team loses 3 out of 4, and all of a sudden the heat gets cranked up, and now you healthy scratch Savoy 2 games in a row because he screwed up, made a defensive mistake in the first game that you lost that got him scratched, and now it's 3 games in a row. And like this idea of you need 2 points tonight, but then, you also got to develop these players. It's tough, and the manager and the coach need to be on the same page. You can't have a coach swinging in the breeze with no contract, asking him to make decisions for down the road when you haven't shown him you're willing to guarantee he will be there for that, Struds.
No, and that's very fair. The other people have to be on board are your vets, because it is hard when you see the same mistakes being made over and over again. Hey, okay, we got to do a little bit better, Shaugger. Okay, man, like that's enough. Okay, you know what? I'm done. Like that's enough. You've done the same play 3 times in 2 nights. Like it's over. And that's how quickly it can go down, because in the NHL, you have to do your job. Just do your job, and everyone else does their job. But when you don't do your job, now it's screwing up my night, and it's screwing up his night, and you just go around the lineup. So let's not count out the vets being on board as well.
All right, that was Takeaways brought to you by HSE Core Services. Quick break. When we come back, Brownie Points, Struddy's World. Take a lap as well. Lots going on around the league, and ask us anything. Get your questions in for Zuby. Tons still ahead here on Got Your Back, presented by Timberhouse Developments.
Why would you? Nobody puts in wood windows or siding anymore, so why put in wood fences? Maintenance-free vinyl fence from DLR is backed by a lifetime warranty and will save you time. Weekends are for playing, not painting. Go vinyl at dlrvinylproducts.ca.
For over 60 years, Belvedere Golf and Country Club has delivered a high-quality membership experience to Edmonton and area. And now it's even better. Drainage and irrigation improvements in 2024 have taken course conditions to a new level. This commitment to long-term sustainability means exceptional playing conditions all season long. Belvedere's tee sheet availability is unmatched, so join now and experience golf the way it was meant to be played, on your schedule. Visit belvederegcc.com today.
When you make a mistake, heads should roll. It's not right. And I'm here. Someone has to put their foot down. Now that I say it out loud, it does sound a little crazy. God, I look good.
Yes, it is time for Struddy's World, brought to you by Body Realty at Royal LePage AR Team Realty. Becoming a homeowner is one of life's most liberating milestones, offering pride, freedom to make it your own, and the chance to build lasting equity. It's a big decision. The team at Body Realty guides clients through the complex process. Expertise, care, unwavering support they give you even after the keys are handed over. Their clients say they truly make you feel like the only client they have. Visit bodyrealty.com. That's BHATTI realty.com. Got a text from Harm today. Was on out and about town, repping the Got Your Back lid. So thanks, Harm, for repping the brand for us. Struddy, what do you got, buddy?
I was asked to do something very special today. I was a judge in a chili contest at the rodeo over there at downtown Edmonton. Never been asked to judge anything really in my life. And I was gone. There was 12 people that had created chilies, different restaurants, pubs right around the city. And I went through all, and it's a lot. You eat about 3 to 4 ounces of chili times 12. That's a lot of chili going in. And you can imagine the fire that some of these had. And they were all awesome, I got to say. But I had to make my choice on my number one pick. And I went with the vegetarian option. And it was unbelievable, guys. So I went around, I identified 2 that I liked the best. And then I went back and I tried them both again. And this one tipped the scales. They were all great. Ironically, the 2 I picked, only my second place finished second, and my first place wasn't on the leaderboard. So obviously not ideal, but I love chili, man, and it's a pretty cool event. I think they do it yearly. I've never been asked to judge before, and I probably won't be again. But such good chili, and my stomach's just in turmoil right now. There's a real fight going on in there.
Was there any 5 alarm? Did anybody go 5 alarm?
No, so they kept it pretty calm, and then when you'd give it to you, they would jazz it up if you wanted more spice. And I'm like, I like spice, and it's pretty hot. Like, it's pretty hot, and there's some gone to a bit of sweating match with some other people, and so it would be as hot as you wanted. But the one I liked was they put some grilled onions on there, or deep fried onions, whatever, and that was a nice little addition. But I don't know if you guys like chili. I love chili.
So, not a big chili guy. I gotta be honest with you.
Really?
I never really have been a big chili guy. Yeah, no, for whatever reason, the best part of chili is when you get the really small, super crazy soft buns and you put just a little too much butter on those smaller buns, and then I'll lap up the chili with those little buns. And I never put butter on my buns unless I'm having chili. And then I do. But for me, chili is all about the buns and not about the chili. I've never been a big fan of it. I don't know why. Too much going on. The beans, it's a little too hard on the stomach. It's just not my thing. Soups?
Well, hopefully, you know what? We make chili from time to time. I wouldn't say I'm a huge chili guy, but man, if there are any chili cook-offs coming up in the Okanagan region, please, okay. I'll make my email available, because I love the idea of judging, because I'm a person, like, when we go out to dinner, my wife, certain restaurants, she orders the same thing she's got something she likes, same thing, it's locked in. And I love variety. So I would love to sample a dozen or whatever, 20 chilies at the same time. That would be fabulous. Is there a protocol for in between to cleanse your palate?
No, I asked, and they said use beer. So I used beer, but it's actually down with our buddies at the Ice House there in Ice District, and it was rocking in there. Like, it was so much fun. They had all the chilies set up around. Like, I really, really enjoyed it. So I plan on going back next year. I think it's a yearly event, and but like I said, it's a lot of chili, man. It's Dustin Nielsen is there, and Dusty doesn't like vegetables, and so he only had 3 or 4 of the places, and he liked it, but I think he's more like a fish and chips and chicken fingers kind of guy, right?
No, he gets super offended at vegetables. It's a big thing on his show. He's like been trying one new vegetable every so often for the last number of years. Travis Farquharson says, I like chili, but I've never been a fan of meatloaf. Thank you for that preference. Shared for all of us, Travis. Queen Bee Amy, love it with cheese on top with a dollop of sour cream. See, that's I would agree with. You kind of make it a little bit like Tex-Mex type kind of thing. I also like it with some corn. I like it sweetened up a little bit, Struds. I'm not big on like the hard beans and onions. I'm more like throw some corn. I've even had chili with some pineapple in it, and I didn't mind that.
Well, Kayla's interesting. She says vegetarian and chili don't belong in the same sentence. I get it. My wife actually makes a vegetarian chili that is unbelievable. So I don't know if that was what I was kind of predisposed to it, but it tastes like regular chili, or I was like already made my mind up. The other one was, it was so meaty. It was just basically just meat, just pure meat. I don't think there was a bean in there, a vegetable, and I loved it. I love meat. But yeah, 12 different people or restaurants preparing their way of doing it. It was all really good, really good.
All right, there you have it. That was Struddy's World, brought to you by Body Realty. All right, Brownie points time. No Rob Brown tonight. We got the show started immediately after the show, so I'm guaranteed to lose some brownie points next show. Just because I wasn't willing to make everybody stay up till 1 a.m. waiting for Rob Brown. We love you, Brownie, but we had to get her rolling tonight. It's preseason, buddy. These brownie points from the brain, not of Rob Brown tonight. They are brought to you by the Alberta Ram dealers. I'm getting a little lost here, guys. Sorry about this. My bad. There it is. The 2025. What's that, buddy?
We could just look at these beautiful trucks while you find
Yeah,
them.
we could, talk about these badass looking trucks. We don't need the promo read. 2025 Ram 1500 is Motor Trend's Truck of the Year. Visit your Alberta Ram dealer to get into this award-winning truck at a competitive price, capable, stylish, powerful. It is Ram. We'll take turns handing out some brownie points tonight. I'm going to start with, and since Brownie isn't here to say it doesn't matter, I'm going to start with 5 brownie points for Darnell Nurse, because in this exhibition game tonight, Darnell Nurse threw 5 body checks, which, you know me, I like to see that. So an easy one for me. 5 for Darnell Nurse. He will be thrilled.
Yeah, I'm going to throw out 2 brownie points. Again, 2 for Connor Clattenburg, because this is the second game now where we've seen him kind of be that irritating presence. He got into it, took a penalty, and I think that there's something there. He's a guy that we won't see him this year in the NHL, but I want to see him go down, play, and kind of refine that irritating game that he's got. Maybe you can call Corey Perry and get those things dialed up from him.
I was going to give 4 brownie points to Major League Baseball because I thought all 4 wild cards were going to a third game, but the Dodgers came back. So I'll give 3 brownie points to Major League Baseball for 3 of those 4 wild card series going to a third and deciding game. It's been great stuff. And of course, good for the Jays if you're a Jays fan. Yankees and Red Sox stretching it out to a third game there. So get them tired. Come in tired for the Jays when the ALDS rolls around.
I'm giving minus 125 brownie points to Rob Brown for hurting my feelings.
Oh.
Flat out hurt my feelings. I invited him to come out and play some golf. My cousin Steve was there. As it turned out, Steve and Brownie rode together in a cart. And let's just say they hit it off really well. And Rob Brown was more conversational, nicer, more complimentary, and seemed to like my cousin Steve way more than he has ever given me the indication that he likes being around me or likes me at all. They were fast friends. Brownie was in his element with Steve. And I'm not going to lie, more than a few times I looked over at them laughing and high-fiving, and I was like, what do I got to do to get on this guy's good side? So minus 125 points, Brownie.
Ooh, that'll make sure you get some positive ones the next time it rolls around.
He doesn't watch the show. He doesn't watch the show.
I'm going to give 50 points out to the DJ at the Ice House. I've never heard anyone take country songs and kind of spin them to a dance music. It was unbelievable. I approached the DJ and I said, hey man, I love your tunes. He's like, if you get me something, I'll like a fire stick, I will put some in there for you. So I'm going to go track this fire stick magical wand down, come and find him. And he says he's going to do it for me. I can't wait. They were unbelievable. How good the country music kind of to a dance beat. Oh man, I loved it. He killed it.
I bet when you were walking up, he was expecting you to say, hey, can you play Dust on the Bottle? But I don't want to mess with our brownie points. So I'm Struddy. I'm taking away 2 Zuby points because you did a Struddy's World about being a judge in a chili cook-off and you didn't make a single Simpsons reference in there. And I feel like that would have been so easy. Yeah, he thinks he's the Pope of Chili Town. Less artsy, more fartsy. There was lots of options there for you from the infamous Simpsons episode where Homer goes on a like an LSD trip from eating super spicy chili.
I can't quick pull Simpsons episodes. Can you, Struds? Do you have that in your reserves?
I'm not gonna lie. I didn't watch it much. I didn't watch it much growing up. I was more Seinfeld and MacGyver.
So the WWE and Simpsons for you, Zuby.
Well, and Seinfeld too. I have room for a few things. I've forgotten some pretty important stuff over the years, but those are all there.
All right. That was Brownie Points, brought to you by the Alberta Ram Dealers. Hoping to have Rob Brown back on the pod, although Friday night's an 8 o'clock start too, so there's no guarantees. I'm going to get crushed on our Sunday pod when it's back-to-back shows again that he might not be on. People on the stream are going to destroy me. I'm going to lose a pile of Brownie Points. It's not going to be fair. Time now for our scoreboard, brought to you by the Bridge Sports Therapy. Rehabilitation at the Bridge offers a comprehensive approach that extends beyond temporary pain relief, focusing on developing long-term strength and resilience to support your active lifestyle. They've got clinics in Edmonton, Sherwood Park, Lethbridge, and opening soon in St. Albert's. It provides accessible team-based care across Alberta. Learn more at thebridge.fit. Struds, I know we say that exhibition doesn't matter, but tell me what would be going through the heads of the Calgary Flames players that were part of that score on the old scoreboard tonight with Vancouver.
So the score was 8-1. It was an absolute beatdown. Canucks just thrashed the Flames. And what's crazy is the Canucks only had 28 shots. So it's not like it was that one-sided. But the coach would come and said, hey, we're just going to leave this one. We're going to park it and move on. But we got to be better than we were. So 8-1 Canucks win. The Golden Knights, they 2-1 over the Avalanche. Landeskog gets on the scoreboard. A name to remember in the Pittsburgh Penguins game, Tristan Bras. He has 3 goals this year already in the preseason. He was a draft pick, a second-round pick a couple of years ago. So that team is trying to turn people over. An American-born player, pretty solid. And then one that is interesting because I think these two teams will be battling, although I think the Ducks are better. The Ducks beat the Sharks 5-2 in San Jose. Both are looking to get off the bottom of the Pacific Division.
Couple of names that were in the Flames lineup tonight. I can't let this go. 8-1. Anderson in. Kevin Ball, regular, in. Huberdeau in. Backlund in. Frost in. Sharon Govich in. Coleman in. Coronado. Hanley. Zeri. Weegar. Pospisil. Farabee. Young Zane Parekh got his eyes open nice and wide. Nazem Kadri in. That's a pretty darn good lineup.
Yeah, so I didn't want to say it, but it was at home. They were at home. So that's a tough one.
Quick check-in on Huska. See how he's doing tonight. It's just preseason, man. It's just preseason.
Well, the good thing is that you get their attention. So when you rolled into the rink tomorrow, you'll have their 100% commitment and attention to change.
That was our scoreboard, brought to you by the Bridge Sports Therapy and Training. When we come back from the break, we're going to take a lap and get to our Ask Us Anything segment as well. More importantly than anything, though, we're going to have our retro theme music and retro billboards on the other side of this break. So if nothing else, stick around for that. Best addition to the show this year.
So at Timberhouse, our guiding philosophy is naturally inspired living. We believe that through design, we can solve problems and enhance people's lives. We follow biophilic design principles in all of our builds to incorporate natural materials, natural light, to enhance all the spaces in a home. When you have your space perfectly reflect who you are and what you value, and it's made well, we think that that just leads to better living.
Oh, yeah. I'm normally pretty tired by this point in the show. It's just like a total second wind. Zuby, you have no idea. You had no idea when you built this what it was going to mean to the show.
I did not. Admittedly, yeah.
Am I the only one? Like, Struds, does this just do it for you too?
Sorry, what was the question? I didn't hear it.
Time now for us to take a couple of laps, brought to you. And by the way, we are thrilled to welcome Riverside Motorsports to Got Your Back. Family owned and operated, serving Edmonton and area for 55 years. That's as local as it gets. They feature top brands like Yamaha, Suzuki, Polaris, Husqvarna, and Gas. delivering the best selection in Alberta, a massive inventory of parts and accessories, and recognized as the #1 KTM dealership in the country. Check them out at www.riversidemotorsports.com or stop in their store just off St. Albert Trail. More importantly, big fans of Rob Brown, the crew over at Riverside Motorsports. So to stay in their good books, I might have to ease up on the big guy, Struds. They are big-time Robbie Brown fans.
Yeah, they love confident people. Obviously, that's what they love about Brownie. Quite a bit of action around the NHL here, and we'll start with the contract. We knew that pretty big deal came down yesterday. We'll say Luke Hughes, defenseman for the Devils, 22-year-old, signed a 7 times $9 million deal. 44 points last year. Power play guy for them. I'm assuming he'll be that again, although Doug Hamilton was out quite a bit last year. So he is young. Now he has, 7 more years. His brother has, I think, 4 or 5 more years on his deal, who is the captain of that team. And then Quinn Hughes has 2 more years left on his deal in Vancouver. So I don't know if this makes less likely that Quinn Hughes will go to Vancouver or go to New Jersey. But anyways, the two brothers will be together for at least the next 5 seasons.
What do you think? I mean, it's already a big topic in Vancouver, and they're still a couple of years out. But it'd be cool and everything, but do you feel like it trends that way?
Okay, it's a really cool story, and I'd want to play with my brothers as well. But if I'm the hockey mind in my head, do I want 2 for sure, small, and maybe 1 other medium-sized people as my main contracts on my team?
That's a fair point. That's a good point.
Well, we just lost Shaugger. I made a great point.
Yeah.
He finally admitted I made a great point, Zuby, and he just walked off.
Completely
He walked off.
Yeah.
Everything okay? What happened there,
Oh,
buddy?
we lost your video. We can hear you.
We lost. Yeah.
Oh, my video's gone?
Yeah.
I was doing a victory lap.
Let me see what's what here. Yeah, my camera looks like it froze up a little bit. I might you know what I'll do, Zuby? I'll let you and Struds finish take a lap, and I'll exit out and I'll hop back in, buddy.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, that's cool. So Zuby, just to finish my thought there, I do like the hockey part of me. Do you want 2 smallish defensemen being your highest paid guy, and then a smallish center being your highest paid forward, or those 3 making up a big collection of your money? And then the assets you have to trade for Quinn Hughes, I don't think they'd be that much, because everyone knows he wants to go to New Jersey. If indeed he said, I'm not signing with Vancouver. So I think there's a hockey case to be made for it. Doesn't make sense.
Right.
Which is a little risky.
And then you can fill in those spots, but none of your top players have much to offer in the way of size. And you got that top pairing.
And the size does matter. Next up, you sent this one to me, Zuby. The NHL team valuations came out.
Yeah.
The Leafs were able just to crack over $4 billion, 4.25. The Rangers second at 3.6. The Oilers were 6th at 2.76 billion. I remember when Daryl Cates bought the Oilers for around 190 million. So I think his return is decent. The average price of a team is 2.1 billion. And I believe last was Winnipeg Jets at 1.3 million. So 2.1 billion, that's ironically what the reported price is for a team, if you want to get one, and if the league wants to give you one.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Shaugger says he can't. So I'm going to say, I can't see you. If you're watching, Shaugger, I can't see you.
Yeah.
Try again. Yeah, I thought one of the really interesting things there for me on that list was Vancouver. For Vancouver, they dropped, tied, they had the second most spots dropped. For a team in that market, to go down whatever it was, 6 or 8 spots, something like that, to drop that many spots. I don't know what you want to ask why. But it's, to me, I don't know if it's alarming. Maybe it doesn't matter for anything, but I was very surprised to see that. We don't have Blommer here tonight. We'll have to get his take on it on the next show, but that was really surprising in that list to me.
Yeah, the Blomsky would be probably upset about that. And lastly, Eric Johnson, longtime NHL defenseman, 17, 18 years in the NHL, former first overall pick of the St. Louis Blues. Was traded, had missed a year when he blew his knee out after falling out of a golf cart accident, which is pretty crazy, but he retired. Won a Stanley Cup with the Colorado Avalanche and played over 1,000 games. I thought I really liked him as a D. He was heavy, played his game, just that steady presence that every NHL team would love to have on their back end. So he calls it quits this year. No more for him.
Yeah, he had an interesting career. I think probably nice for him to have that cup on the resume. I mean, your career is a lot different from his, but what is it? How do you come to that decision finally, and how hard is it?
Well, for me, it was because no one else wanted me. Oh, decision made. And I think for there just comes a point, and I'm not gonna lie, at that point, I was just tired. I was tired of trying so hard all the time, and I don't want to sound lazy, but I mean, to stay in the NHL at that level and that hard, it's relentless. You got to do it every day. And for Eric Johnson, he had dealt with some injuries. I'm sure his body wasn't feeling great. He won his Stanley Cup, got his 1,000th game, made a lot of money. I think that he was probably just like, I'm done. He's grateful for everything he got. Okay, Zoops, why don't we wrap up the poll here? And then I've got the liners if we want to move on to ask us anything after that, if Shaugger's still fiddling around with his camera.
Shaugger said, we can't get him back in. He says, it's fine. You guys finish the show. I'm out. And then he turned his notifications off. So
okay, let's do it.
Now,
He's
hold
going
on.
to get a snack.
Okay, finally, the poll. I ended the poll some minutes ago, and it had not shown up the results yet in the chat, but it has now. So the poll question, the DeBoer's Golf Shop and Fitting Center poll question tonight was, what impact do you expect Connor Ingram to have on this team? And 34% Struddy agree with you. They say he'll earn games with the big club. Yeah. Coming in at second place was that his AHL play could pressure Skinner and Pickard, 27%. None other than depth came in third at 21%, and injury call-up only came in at 18%. And I didn't get to influence anybody, but that's kind of what I think. But we'll see. I guess we'll see. I guess I was wrong in terms of the poll anyway.
Yeah, you want him to play as well as possible. You want him to be a contributing member of that team down there because you want options. Because if he plays well, it means that you don't have to trade for a depth goalie. The Oilers don't have a lot of assets, so they have one there, and hopefully he can find his way. All right, let's get to Ask Us Anything now, brought to you by Mortgages by Maria. With the Bank of Canada lowering rates, it's a great time to look at your mortgage. The thing is, your bank only shows you their offer, but Maria brings you options from a whole lineup of lenders, so you get the deal that works best for you. Don't just roll over for the bank. Connect with her today at mortgagesbymaria.ca.
I wasn't prepared for this, so I'm gonna get myself some.
There it is.
Here we go.
What do people want to know?
This is a good one from James Barrels. He says the condensed schedule is going to be murder on the with the long Eastern road trips to start the season for the Oilers. So I did a quick check on this. They've got a 5-gamer out east in October and a 7-gamer out east in November. How real is that, Struds? Do you have concern about how they start this year because of that?
Yeah, it's a lot more pleasant to do those trips early in the year than it is at the end of the year. So yes, it could affect their results early, but having that out of the way, like 12 road games on the eastern side, I'm telling you, it is massive, absolutely massive, and I'd rather go sooner than later.
Nate Hay pointing out, just making the point here, he says Oilers need to move their AHL team to Edmonton area as well. There was some other chatter around that. I didn't even realize, checking the 7 Canadian teams, all of them but Edmonton have a team in pretty close proximity. I know there's more to this than just someone snapping their fingers and saying, yeah, we're going to do it. But how important do you think it would be to the team to have the AHL team closer, Struddy?
What I like is the ability to assess and really stay on individual players' development. You know, is Jason Struddy trending in the right direction? If not, what does he need? Okay, we can get that person. We already have someone under that that does that for our NHL team, so we can bring him in and work with him. So I'm all about the development. I don't know if you guys have noticed that lately, drafting and developing. The problem is, where do you put the team? I guess, I know Calgary Wranglers, they practice out of the wind sport, I believe, more often than not. So would the junior Oilers, would they practice out of Bill Hunter Arena or Short Park Arena? Like, I don't know.
Somebody suggested Red Deer. They've got the Centrium there. I don't know how up to date it is.
Yeah, and does Red Deer want to share that? Whether the Rebels want to share that with them? It's easy to say it. Like in Vancouver, it's Abbotsford's, right? So it's another pretty decent community, a little distance away. San Jose is close. So I agree. I would love to see that, but I just don't know how it logistically works.
Shaugger asked for some questions sort of at or for me, but we'll put this, which we did get a few submissions, but this could be for both of us. Queen Bee Amy said, Zuby, if you had to pick a reality show to be on, which one would you choose? Big Brother, Survivor, or Amazing Race? And I'll put this to you as well, Struddy, and you could there would be some write-in options as well. Of those three, I think for me, I always thought I'd like to be on The Amazing Race. I think that show is so, I haven't even watched it in years, but it's so intricately deep. I actually have a friend that I worked with, like in television, who works on that show, and I haven't really connected with him. If I went out for a beer with him, I'd probably just be asking him how they put that show together, for a couple of hours, and because it's so intricate, it's so well done. But the travel, the problem solving, some of the physical challenges, I think I'd enjoy that one the most.
100%, I'm with you, buddy. Partner, we could do it together. Yes. We can race around the world. I love to do it. I would rather die than go into the Big Brother. Yeah, I just think that is just a collection of people seeking attention. It's just I can't watch it. I think it's just so brutal. Survivor would be my other favorite one, but this I would like to do Survivor. You get dropped off with like 10-pound bag of rice.
Yeah.
That's it. And you have to survive. And then you just beg. If you don't want to get out, you shoot a flare up and you're gone. The last person. So that's truly a survivor. Truly a survivor then.
Yeah, it's legit. I think when you see going all the way back to the guy who won the first one, how much weight he lost.
Richard
That's
Hatch.
what I always thought would be the best benefit of me going on Survivor. Trim down.
What else
you
got
bit.
there, Zoops?
A couple of people brought up when there was the discussion of Regula and Stetcher, there were some people who said, who brought Emberson into that conversation. Todd Peterson said Emberson, he's still a kid. I think Stetcher's paid his dues for a seventh man, but they're seventh man there. But it's playing time. Emberson has a full season in Bakersfield, ready for the playoffs. I don't know all of the waiver situation. I would imagine Emberson would have to clear waivers.
Yeah.
How is Emberson in that conversation at all?
I don't think he is. I think he's younger than Stetcher. And I think that they're trying to grow him and develop him as well. They've already put a year into him. I mean, you kind of know what Stetcher is at this point in his career. And, as a veteran player, you just know that. Like, it's not that we don't like you. It's just that we think this guy has a longer road ahead of him and possibly a higher upside than you. So, for Regula, there is a chance he could be the guy.
Okay. Stephen Petrick asked, Zuby, which one of the guys on this pod is the lowest maintenance and who is most? Well, with Shaugger being gone, this is really easy to answer. You know what? Shaugger, when we did ask each other anything a couple shows ago, Shaugger, I think, set me up for this. But he didn't say... He said of any person I've ever worked with who was the highest maintenance. And I realized like a few days later, he was setting me up to say him. The answer, Stephen, is that, and this is not a lie, Shaugger is the highest maintenance, but it's his show. He's got it's his baby. So I completely understand that. And it's never to the point where I'm not complaining to my wife about him. Really, I'm not, it's just part of the work. And Struddy is the lowest maintenance. And Brownie's low maintenance too, but there's something about, I don't know, Brownie's kind of got like the aura, and I just feel like maybe I'm a little bit just walking on eggshells around him. So maybe that just raises it a tiny bit. But
yeah,
awesome,
I think you nailed it.
Awesome guys to work with and for. Davin also said, "What did I have for dinner tonight? I got a new grill. I got a Pit Boss with a smoker and a griddle, and I fired up some of the chicken skewers. We had a very healthy-ish dinner. We had chicken skewers with potatoes and what else? Like raw vegetables.
Classy.
Well, there's one more for me, and then I'm going to bring it back to one hockey one to finish it up.
Okay.
Shaugger just texted me, I'm fired. So that's the end of the show for tonight, everybody.
I'll enjoy the last 5 minutes.
Steve will be here on Friday.
Yeah.
Steve actually will be here on Friday. James Barrels said, maybe you can help me with this, Struddy. Here's the trifecta, because I said you can give me you can ask me questions about food, 80s movies, and wrestling. So he said, here's the trifecta. If the Karate Kid was a food, what food would it be, and what wrestler would you share the meal with? If Karate Kid was a food, it would be cheesy and satisfying. So I'm going to say maybe it's, what do they call that? Fondue. It's like...
Fair point, yeah.
I think Karate Kid would be fondue. And who am I going to eat fondue with? Somebody like the Bushwhackers or somebody, just to have a huge mess of a food fight. So that's, I guess that's my answer to that. This was funny, and Struddy sorry, I forgot. I got two more. We'll wrap it up. Starting over at 61 said, he had a good funny comment too. Says, pisses me off. I just bought an Oilers third jersey with future considerations on the name bar, and then they go and trade him away. Struds, what are, you know what? Like it is, what are those? It's very, very rare that you ever hear of the second half of those future considerations trades.
Yeah.
Do they even happen, or is they don't just open-ended like that?
I've heard GMs have exchanged the future considerations being around a golf at the local golf club, a meal. It's basically saying we're trading you for nothing, right? And or maybe a favor in the future. But it's not like if it works out with Ingram, they're not trading Connor McDavid to Utah, right? Like it's just like we're just getting rid of this guy, and they have to have something in there. We used to call it, instead of future considerations, they used to call it Freddie Charles. We traded you for Freddie Charles, which is nothing. And that was humbling.
I bet that is humbling. Let's go on to this last one. Shane Matheson pointing out, and you guys talked about this for a minute earlier. Shane Matheson saying Stu playing for his next contract. That's always a positive. Let's say that's usually a positive. But when it comes to a goalie, I feel like it's a little bit different. I can think of many instances of a player scoring, going 10, 15 goals over his career best in a contract season. But I can't really think of comparable in the goalie market. Can you?
Aiden Hill, maybe, right? Didn't he go after that big contract? After the run in the cup he signed. I want to say maybe him.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
But I guess, listen, Stu Skinner, I don't think he's like, oh, it's a contract here. I'm going to be the best version I can be of myself. I believe that Stu is still on the journey to becoming the consistent player that he wants to be. I think he's constantly seeking out ways to do that. I do believe that the reshaping his body is going to make a difference on the longevity of, and just the health of him and the energy level at the end of games. And so I'm bullish on what Stu Skinner can do this year. If it coincides with the end of his contract, sure, then great. I hope he plays so well that the Oilers have to pay him a big deal. And they feel confident in making that choice. And he also feels confident about that choice as well.
How many games do you think what's the sweet spot for him for this year? They probably have a number. They got to feel good enough also now for sure about Calvin Pickard and the workload he can handle. So what do you think the number is?
I'm going to say 45 to 50. So that leaves 35 to 40, 30 to 35. Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, I feel like 50. I feel like they would want to play him 50 to really make a clear separation there. He's not, people get angry on the stream sometime too whenever we talk about Stu Skinner still having potential or room to grow, and they point out, he's 27. So I understand that part too. So I don't feel like the minutes and the games played necessarily should be as big of a consideration now, but you want to, you do want to keep them both fresh because you needed them both last year in the playoffs. So I would imagine there's some management going on there.
100%. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out, and we'll find out as that journey starts next week. Okay, that was it for Ask Us Anything. Let's go into Play of the Day, brought to you by Mainline Water and Sewer, your trusted choice for over 40 years, specializing in sewer line replacement and expert water line repair and replacement. Slow drains are a sign it's time for attention, and aging lines can cause basement backups. Their trenchless method is quick, low impact, and often finished in a day, complete with black flow protection. Visit mainlinewaterandsewer.ca. Zuby, really interesting moment as Bill Guerin and Dollar Bill Kirill were at their press conference. And let's just get to this audio of what Bill Guerin said when he was asked if Dollar Bill Kirill was excited.
Sure. Excited? Better be.
So Billy dropped an F-bomb in there. We blocked it out. Good job by Zuby. But listen, you commit 17 sheets a year to someone for that long, they better be thrilled. Good for Minnesota. We didn't really get into it, but Zuby, quickly, I think that they're the fourth best team in that division with him. And they got to continue. They got a lot of work still to do, but they do have some nice pieces with him, Boldy, on these types of players across their lineup.
And are they out now? Are they free and clear of Parise and Suter? I
think
saw
it's
some chatter about that.
Yeah, I think it's 2 to 3 years more at $800,000 each. So it's way down. So, so there we go.
And I saw that he's it's like, the way they judge movies for inflation at the box office. They showed the inflationary of the cap that they show supposedly that deal in whatever it is, 5 years is like 10.7 million now. So, it's all going to change so much in the next few years, it would seem, based on these cap increases.
We're right there, people. $20 million player. We're right there. It's not going to be long till we see that number. Okay, everybody. That is it. Thank you for tuning in. Again, the Oilers lose in Seattle in preseason. I don't think it's really a big deal, but a lot of storylines, including the goaltender. Tune in Friday when we resume the preseason. The final preseason game will be on Friday night versus Vancouver. Subs, any final thoughts before we cast off?
No, that was fun. Like I said, I'll be out on Friday, so the next time I'm doing a show, it'll be, I think we're doing one maybe to tee up the season, a preview, and then hit it when the puck drops. I'm finally excited. I've been excited to do the show with you guys, but I haven't been super excited about the hockey just yet. So
it's getting there.
Yeah.
It's getting there. Get some sleep, everybody. Thanks for tuning in on behalf of myself, Shaugger, Brownie, who will be here again soon. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. Subscribe. Tell a friend. We love hearing from you. If you see us in the street, come and say hi, especially Zuby. He loves hugs. Have a great night, everybody. And this one will be live for you quite quickly. See you guys tomorrow.